Hi, I'm Debbie Harbeck, and I'm a certified life coach working with women in midlife and through the menopause transition. So each week, I'll be sharing the latest information, inspiration, and generate some momentum so you can move forward and feel more in control of your changing midlife body and your life. Let's go. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. I hope you're doing well today. How are you doing, by the way? So I just wanted to share that last week I was listening to a podcast. I can't even remember which podcast, but I heard a term that I'd never heard before. And it's a really good term for what I see happening in midlife in particular with a lot of us. The term is comfort entitlement. Now, I kind of love this term because I think it's a real phenomenon that we can get stuck in, especially at this time of life. What it actually means is that we create this expectation that the things that we do, like work and relationships and exercise and eating, all these things that we're doing, we expect that these things should be comfortable. And in midlife, I see this happening all the time. We become less and less tolerant of discomfort, and we become more and more attached to our creature comforts. Of course, the pandemic generally didn't help with this. It kind of forced us to seek out comfort. And many of us got so comfortable that we're still at home, like me. And pandemic aside, at this point of life, another thing that pushes us in this comfortable direction is that we can afford more comfort. We're able to afford going out for dinner more often a lot of the time. We're maybe driving nicer cars with climate control. And I'm thinking like heated seats and heated steering wheels because that's what it's like right now in February here in Montreal. It's cold out there. And maybe we can afford more comfortable beds and linens. And maybe we have more spa days and massages and the list goes on. Now, I'm not going to say that these things are bad. They're not bad, but they just reinforce that comfort is something you're entitled to after working for it. It's something we almost earn. So you've worked at a job or a career or a business most of your life. You've been challenged in your marriage, your relationships, or maybe you've gone through divorce. You've raised kids maybe, or you're assisting your aging parents. And now it only feels right that you deserve to be comfortable. But that's just a thought error. And it creates a mindset that can really end up disappointing and derailing you because without some discomfort, you stay stuck where you are and life becomes pretty boring because you're never being challenged. What we need to do is not have a goal like, I just want to be more comfortable. I hear this one a lot, but it's not a good goal because being uncomfortable is really what life is about. Because if we want to continue to grow and change our habits and adapt to new situations and be part of a society that, let's face it, is constantly changing, then we're going to have to be willing to be uncomfortable some of the time. So let me share just a few examples of what I mean. So here's one of them, this podcast. Last summer, I started this podcast. That entitled part of me thought that I shouldn't have to be learning another skill. I mean, I was 50. Shouldn't I already have enough skills in my toolbox to get by? So these are some of the thoughts that I was thinking. And to be honest, these are some of the thoughts that had stopped me for a long time because I had wanted to start a podcast a couple of years ago. So I know it sounds silly, but these are really the thoughts that stopped me. Another thought was, no one knows. So who will care either way? No one knows I'm going to start a podcast. So the answer was that I would care because I would know that I'd ultimately be disappointed in myself for not doing it. So luckily last July, the conscious side of my brain got a little stronger and it really wanted the experience of building a podcast, even if it was going to be uncomfortable. So that's when I became willing to learn the tech stuff and willing to speak publicly to hundreds of people and meeting new people and interviewing them and then committing to do this every single week. Had I stuck to the comfort I had felt, which I had done for quite a while, and I felt I was entitled to it, then you wouldn't be listening to this podcast right now. It wouldn't exist. And I would still be wishing to do it, but still stuck in that comfort entitlement that I had. So another time I had to face this just recently was in this past year when I returned to the gym. I hadn't been to the gym for probably 2 decades. I've been working out in the comfort of my own home for years, and it's not a bad thing. It was a good thing. But I knew I was ready to level up, and that meant I'd have to leave my house, which was comfort, and actually have to go to a place full of people, the gym, discomfort for me, where I could lift heavier weights, also discomfort. Now, that's what I had to do to get to the gym, and I'm there now, and I've been going consistently, and actually isn't so uncomfortable anymore, and it feels actually pretty good. Now, there's another tricky and uncomfortable example that I want to share with you, because I think a lot of us are stuck in this one, and it's saying no. Now, you want to be able to say no because you've made some commitments to yourself. Like you're saying, I'm committed to going to the gym. I'm committed to getting to bed at a certain hour. But then somebody calls you and asks you to do something else instead, and you feel really uncomfortable saying no. And it may even feel to your brain that it's wrong to say no because you'd be letting the other person down. And the easy thing, the comfortable thing to do in this case is say yes. And so many of us opt for that comfortable yes because it feels right, and the opposite feels uncomfortable or wrong. And your brain may even give you a boost. It may make you think that you're being selfless and giving because you sacrificed something you promised yourself to give time to someone else. But the truth is that most of the times we do this, we're taking the easy way out. It's that comfort entitlement again. So how can we break out of this? And how can we actually start embracing some discomfort? Well, I think the key is to see discomfort as something that's positive, and that will make you stronger, and that you're stronger every time you don't give in to comfort. A big obstacle for us right now, though, is that we see discomfort as bad. But that's not really all our fault, because our brains are wired that way. So our brains are wired to keep us safe, to keep us comfortable. Feeling uncomfortable to your brain can feel like a threat. So you'll have this enormous pull, like this magnetic pull from your brain towards not going towards discomfort. So if you think something will be unpleasant or painful, then you're going to avoid it. You're going to procrastinate, and you won't end up consistently doing the thing that you really want to be doing. But logically, if we tune out of that subconscious part of our brain and into our conscious part, you know that the discomfort in most cases isn't a dangerous thing. It's not a bad thing. And that sometimes actually the most dangerous thing you can do for your health and your life is to stay comfortable. So to fix this brain error that we've got going on and embrace the discomfort as a good thing, we need to consciously think of the bigger picture. Like in the case of my podcast, I had to imagine myself with a completed podcast, helping women in midlife and feeling really strong and fulfilled. That's the thought that got me right here into actually recording the podcast. And in the case of getting to the gym, I had to think of my body getting stronger, feeling better, able to lift heavy things, and even imagine, down the line where I'll be able to carry and play with my grandkids, hopefully one day. When you see discomfort through the eyes of the result you want, you'll start to embrace it. You'll start to see discomfort as a sign that you're actually growing, that you're getting stronger, you're becoming more of who you want to be. Whereas you can begin to choose to see staying comfortable as a sign of decline. And this is a bit of a challenge. So when you choose to stay up, and it is a choice, when you choose to stay up late on the sofa eating chips instead of getting to bed when you wanted to, you're actually sliding down a slippery slope. Or when you stay inside instead of going out for a walk as you planned because it's too cold or it's raining or it's cloudy, your body is actually getting weaker. Or when you don't start the business, or you don't start writing the book you wanted to write, or you don't speak at the event, or you don't get out to meet that new person, you're actually withering away. So I know maybe that visual is kind of like, ooh, it doesn't sound so good. And that's what I'm hoping it will do for you, because staying comfortable isn't good for you in most cases. And feeling entitled is never a good thing. Now, I don't mean to say that you should never be comfortable. You can definitely choose comfort sometimes, but what's important is that you're not choosing it instead of or at the expense of doing the uncomfortable thing. As humans, to be honest, we aren't entitled to comfort, although I know in the Western world it can seem that way. And making comfort your goal in life isn't going to fulfill you, even if it seems like it would be amazing. There's a really good quote out there that says, when you're not growing, you're dying. I love this quote. Growth takes discomfort. And if you're not doing the uncomfortable things some of the time, you're really not living. And without the growth, you can feel stuck in work or relationships or in your body. And so many women come to me saying they feel stuck. What I've learned is stuck means we're not growing. We're not being challenged. And that means we're probably avoiding feeling uncomfortable and choosing to feel comfortable. Once you can accept and actually enjoy, really enjoy some discomfort, you won't stay stuck for long. Now, I want to offer, if you're stuck in comfort, and I know a lot of us are, or you're struggling to do the uncomfortable things you want to be doing, then reach out to me. I am totally here for you. I can pull you out of the quicksand of comfort. So you can easily just book a time to talk to me. It's a half hour. It's free. You can find the link in my calendar, which is in the show notes, or you can just send me an email and we'll find a time to connect and talk more about this. So I really hope to connect with you soon, and I don't want you to stay stuck in your comfort entitlement. I want you to be a little uncomfortable, and maybe the uncomfortable thing is just getting on the phone with me. So why not do that? So with that, I just want to thank you for listening to this episode today. And again, I am so grateful that you chose to join me. And if you enjoyed this episode, or maybe if you learned something here, I'd love you to rate it on Apple or Spotify or whatever platform you are using to listen to this today. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll be back next week with a guest and a fresh new episode. So keep moving forward, and bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Midlife Momentum Podcast. If you want to learn more about working with me, come visit me at debbieharbeccoaching.com. That's Debbie, I-E, Harbeck with a C, coaching.com. See you next week.